Well, I'm working on several upcoming videos regarding our own dire economic situation here in the United States and elsewhere. I think the mainstream media is probably not reporting very much on the situation, the current situation in Gaza, which is turning out to be yet another humanitarian catastrophe. So if you would bear with me for perhaps 5 minutes or so, let me read you a report from Amnesty International regarding the current situation in the Gaza Strip. The Israeli army has completely blocked the delivery of urgently needed humanitarian aid and medical supplies to the Gaza Strip for more than a week. Very little fuel has been allowed in. Amnesty International urged the Israeli authorities on Friday to allow their immediate passage. The latest tightening of the Israeli blockade has made an already dire humanitarian situation markedly worse. It is nothing short of collective punishment on Gaza's civilian population, and it must stop immediately, said Philip Luther, Deputy Director of Amnesty International's Middle East and North African Affairs. 80% of the population of Gaza has been dependent on the trickle of humanitarian aid previously allowed into Gaza until Wednesday, November the 5th. Industrial fuel, which is donated by the European Union and needed to power Gaza's power plant, their only power plant, has also been blocked, causing a blackout in large parts of Gaza. I might also like to mention here that many civilian things are affected by this, including hospitals, basic infrastructure such as sanitation, water, and so on. So the electricity has essentially been cut for more than a week now, and this of course isn't the first time. So let me continue with this report from Amnesty. Today I went to look for bread in several bakeries, but I couldn't find any. Abu Khalil, a resident of Gaza, told Amnesty International on Thursday evening. There is no electricity, it's pitch dark. A few months ago we bought an electric cooker because cooking gas was very difficult to find and very expensive. But now without any electricity we can't even cook, nor boil your water for sanitation, I might add. We're sitting at home in the dark and we can't do anything. The United Nations Relief and Work Fund, the main UN agency which provides humanitarian assistance to close to 1 million Palestinian refugees in Gaza, announced on Thursday that its supplies had run completely out. At the same time, the Israeli authorities have been denying access to Gaza to foreign journalists for more than a week, and a convoy of European diplomats were likewise refused entry. Gaza is cut off from the outside world, and Israel is seemingly not keen for the world to see the suffering that its blockade is causing to 1.5 million Palestinians who are virtually trapped there. The breakdown last week of a 5.5-month ceasefire between Israeli forces and Palestinian militants in Gaza has generated a renewed wave of violence. The killing of 6 Palestinian militants in Israeli air raids and ground attacks on November the 4th prompted a barrage of Palestinian rockets on nearby Israeli towns and villages. 5 other Palestinian militants have been killed by Israel forces in recent days, and the rocket attacks continue. No Israeli casualties have been reported until earlier today, when one Israeli was lightly wounded by shrapnel in an attack on a small city. Prior to the coming into effect of this ceasefire on June the 19th of 2008, some 420 Palestinians had been killed by Israeli forces, half of them unarmed civilians, including some 80 children, since the beginning of this year. In the same period, Palestinian armed groups killed 24 Israelis, 15 of them civilians, including 4 children. The 5.5-month ceasefire has brought a welcome respite for civilian populations in Gaza and southern Israel. Daily attacks had blighted their lives for the past 8 years, during which some 4,700 Palestinians, 4,700 people that is, and 1,100 Israelis were killed. Most of the victims on both sides have been unarmed civilians, including some 900 Palestinian children and 120 Israeli children. So you might want to ask yourself why Israel is continuing with these hardline policies, with this collective punishment, if they're trying to achieve anything on the diplomatic level. You know, collective punishment of a population is usually designed to basically move the population of the opposing side to overthrow their government. In fact, it has achieved the exact opposite. Mainly because Israelis, for the most part, and their hardline governments for the past few years, have absolutely refused to negotiate with the Palestinian authorities, including Yasser Arafat, who was ousted, who was probably more reasonable than some of the latest factions which came into power out of sheer frustration from the Palestinian people themselves. So this conflict is not going to be resolved by these hardline tactics whatsoever. You know, if the Israeli government wants to pursue this policy of collective punishment and genocide, they're well equipped to do that. But it should be outrageous to any citizen and to us as well to condone any portion of this whatsoever. And this has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. It has something to do with employing policies which hurt civilian populations when they have essentially no say-so in anything. So that's just my little video for tonight. I'll continue with some others.